Like she was really, really, really adamant on there's no way that you could have it all together if in experiencing that. There's just no way. And I'm telling you, my God, that is just one of my many, many, many juicy experiences, right?
You've got juicy stories, my friend. Welcome to Energetics with Kim and Veronica, where we invite you to nourish the energy of your inner why, your inner healing, magic, prosperity, your curiosity, clarity, playfulness. Welcome home. We've been talking a lot about the mirror, and we're going to dive in a little bit deeper as it comes to projections and how they reflect reflections and projections. And I don't know, what are we talking about?
I love that. You're right. It's like mirror and reflection and projections and possibilities. And also shadow. They all seem to be so incredibly interconnected, right? And the more that we get curious about it, the more info of it is showing up for me. And it's just kind of like, ooh, there's a piece. Ooh, there's a piece. Ooh, look at that, right? And so I'm Kim Coleman, and this is my lovely partner, Veronica.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Kim. So fun to be here. Yeah, we've had some really good feedback on the conversation on mirror, right? Because I think there's this kind of standard teaching that's awesome and helpful, and there's just so many other variances to it. And I think it's really important to, Kim and I are so passionate about what's true for you might not be what's true for everyone else. And so it's finding your own truth within all of it. And so we have this concept of the mirror reflecting back to us, our life being a reflection of what might be happening inner, right? Inside the macro, the micro, and the different ways that we can really examine that and contemplate it to see what the reflection might be. It might not be just an exact reflection of what our mind is conceptualizing our experience to be. So, and we're shifting a little bit today to talk a little bit more about projections. And Kim, you were bringing up how sometimes when we look at what other people are experiencing or have experienced, we assume that we would behave or respond or interact differently. Like a really common example is, if I had that money, I wouldn't do that. If I had that money, I would do this instead, right? But the truth is that we don't actually really know until we're in that situation. Another one is infidelity. That's another really great one. Like, I would never stay if someone did that, but you don't actually know until you're in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. And exactly. And so what that can mirror to a person. So I love that you brought up the infidelity piece and the money piece, because what that can do is that can poke at the shadow of me where I don't have money and I should have. And so it brings up all the places of what I don't have and my own righteousness around if I did. And like you said, we have no idea what we would do in a lot of situations. Like it's the put yourself in someone else's shoes kind of thing. And a lot of times for some situations, we can only imagine or we can't even imagine. So for example, there's, when if something traumatic happens to somebody, often we'll hear people say things like, oh, if that happened to me, I would blah, blah, blah. Honestly, you don't know what your next move is going to be or how you would be with that. We can only assume. And a lot of times that chatter that our mind tells us of what we would do in that situation, a lot of it is coming from not having the experience. Thank God. And also a lot of it is coming from how that person did respond as a wrongness with a little bit of judgment sometimes attached. If that happened to me, I would blah, blah, blah. Why didn't she? Why didn't he? Blah, blah, blah. You do not know. We do not know how we would respond. So how somebody responds in any situation is how they've responded to that situation. And all we get to do is be compassionate and curious and all of that. We really don't know. We think we know, but we don't. We don't. And I have so many experiences around this personally myself, which got me to the place of recognizing that we people really don't know what they're going to do in that situation until and unless, and I hope not, they're in that situation, right? Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
true. And what I do today in that situation might be different than what I do 10 years and 10 years from now too, right? Like it
Good
really, there's
point.
so many components to it, and as we're evolving, it's and what might benefit us in the situation is changes as well. So it's
Mm-hmm.
always about
Because
looking
who
at
we
where we
are.
are.
Yeah,
Hmm. Exactly,
exactly.
because we're evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so an experience of what this kind of looked like for me is so when I'm teaching different classes and stuff, if something comes up that I think will contribute to the class, I will share an experience that I've had. I do not have a problem with that because it might help somebody to understand something, and I don't have a problem with that. And so often I'll get the feedback of, "Wow, I didn't think anything, any type of trauma or what would you call it, experiences like that ever happen to you because you've got it, you seem to have it so together." And so that, and I've always looked at that and thought, that's really interesting, right? And so, and it's really interesting that people will project that onto me, that everything is beautiful, that kind of thing, right? And so for me, I got to the place, and I'm still learning to, grow and expand and be with the experiences as we, navigate who we are amidst the noise. Right. And so I remember I was at an event. There were like over 100 people or 100 people at this event, big, big, big event, big circle. And the person who was the facilitator was asking people to get up and introduce themselves by sharing an experience that they had had where it seemed like a very traumatic experience at the time. And so everybody was taking their turns, and then he called me up. He was calling people by name. He called me up, and I got up and I shared my experience. And it was just me sharing an experience of something that I experienced when I was like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, something like that. And so I'm sharing the experience. And next thing I know, he's calling, okay, it's time to take an early lunch. And I'm like, okay. And I'm feeling really good about my share because I was authentic. And it was, I felt like I got to share something that went along with his theme, right? And so he breaks for lunch, and I look around, and all of a sudden there's 3 or 4 people in a lineup, maybe even 5 people in a lineup on my way to lunch, and they're wanting to stop me and talk to me. And I was like, oh, I had no idea what their why was. Well, they all had this, oh my God, I'm so, blah, 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 sorry, and all of that kind of stuff. And I just didn't have that charge on it anymore for me. And it was interesting to see the projection that other people had about somebody who may have experienced what I experienced. And so there was this one lady, and it just really stuck out for me. I don't even remember who the others were, but this one lady, the last lady, she waited to be the last one because she wanted to say to me. So she was somebody who also taught a lot of workshops and owned a retreat center at the time. And her and I knew each other, not on a personal level, but we knew who each other were and had a lot of respect for each other. And it was really interesting to me because her words to me, and I'm not going to get it exact word for word, but her words to me were, wow. And I always thought that you always had it so together. I always believed that you always had it so together. And I look, and there's no way, after hearing that story of what you experienced, there's no way that anybody who experienced that could have it all together. And so and I was kind of like, oh, I wasn't even sure how to receive that. I wasn't sure what she meant. Eventually I got to see that, that was a mirror. If she, and again, perhaps if she experienced what I had experienced, her fear of that is, and her projection and her mirror of that was, she wouldn't have been okay. So there's no way I could have been okay. And it really was interesting to me, because what I went with out of that was, did I share too much? I didn't mean to scare people. I didn't mean to upset people. I was just doing the assignment. Right? And so the mirror effect there was, now all of a sudden I'm wondering, did I do too much? Did I say too much? Maybe I shouldn't have shared that. But then I was still really proud of me for sharing it, and I didn't have a big emotional charge on it. Other people had a big emotional charge on it. Other people had a big emotional charge on it. And so, yeah, the mirror was, if that happened to her, she did not think she would be okay. And so there's no way in her projection that I could be okay. And I took that and questioned it for a bit. Well, maybe I'm not okay, right? She seems to know a lot of her stuff. And so, yeah, so just noticing where we do that to others. Okay, if I had that happen to me, I would not be okay. But it doesn't mean we need to project onto them that they aren't. We can get curious. We can get curious of, wow, maybe we can be okay with everything. Doesn't mean we enjoy it in the moment. Right?
And was it also like a thought of like you couldn't have arrived at, I don't know, your state of enlightenment if you had gone through all of that? Was that, am I hearing that properly? Like she didn't think that you could
No.
be
Well, okay, I
okay.
see what you're saying. Yeah. So finish
Yeah.
what you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah, like I don't know, the state of enlightenment is maybe not, but you can be as advanced
Oh,
as a
right.
teacher, a facilitator, or what, like
Yes.
was that part of it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I received it. Was that
Yeah.
she was like, there's no way, there's just no way that you can have it all together like you seem to look like, or you seem to be so together. And like she was really, really, really adamant on, there's no way that you could have it all together if in experiencing that. There's just no way. And I'm telling you, my God, that was just one of my many, many, many juicy experiences,
You've got
right?
juicy
Uh,
stories, my friend.
yeah. And so, yeah, so I looked at that, like I look at it now. And so, as we've been, as you said, playing with mirrors and stuff like that, I also like to look at, okay, when we're doing if that happened to me, I would blah, blah, blah. That's a projection. You don't know what you would do. And I learned that the hard way. We don't have to go through those types of experiences to kind of be able to wrap our brain around that. But yeah, you don't know what you would do in those situations. You really don't. We can assume, we know where that word goes. We can imagine, right? But we really don't know. We really don't know how we would respond and react in situations. And so just noticing where people want to project that onto you and where you want to project that onto others. And so, yeah, often it can be our own fear that we wouldn't be okay.
And it's I think the awareness here is to look at like because the projections are limitations within us, right? And so if I think, for
Mm,
example, like in my first marriage, I never thought I'd get divorced. And so
right.
imagine if I held on to that, right? So I don't know that I had judgment about people that did that, but I just never thought that I ever would. And then I got to a point where I was, and that was a choice that I wanted. And so, if I held on to that story that I could never do that, or I never would do that, then I would still be in a situation that was no longer beneficial for me, right? So where does that limit us and keep us caged in when we're holding on to these, identities of who we think we should be or we want to be or could be?
I love that. Yeah, because it's more about just experiencing ourselves as an experiment, right? And there's so
Exactly.
many,
Exactly.
and when it comes to like things like money and relationships, there's so much projection. If I had money, if I had tons of money, I wouldn't waste it on that. Listen, we don't know. We don't
We
know.
don't know. Yeah.
We don't know. And so I just noticed that that's kind of like a sneaky back door when we're doing that. It's a sneaky back door, if you will, of judgment and righteousness and projection and mirroring. Okay, well, I don't have that. So now I'm going to judge the people who do. It's a sneaky back door. We don't often even see it as a judgment, right? Like that in that one incident, that woman, all of a sudden it seemed, yeah, it just changed everything in my relationship with her and her relationship with me, right? Because she wouldn't have been out, thought she wouldn't be able to be with it. Guess what, people? We can be with way more than we think. Our thought of having to experience the thing is more intense because it's typically based on fear than the experience itself. And that is actually so true. Once we see that, wow, okay, I'm that I experienced that, and I'm okay. That creates. What would you even say that creates? Is it resilience? Is it confidence? Maybe confidence. Doesn't mean those experiences are fun, right? But when we can really get that, yeah, it happened and I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. I'm safe. I'm okay. I'm all right. Whatever that is, right? And so she didn't think she would be. And so she projected that I couldn't be.
Isn't that fascinating? And here you are, all put together and completely
Oh my
fine.
God. All
Isn't
put
that funny?
together. Yeah. Still
Yep.
putting it together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, like the whole conversation about the mirrors and the projections and the reflections, it really comes back to something we talk about all the time, which is the noticing, the awareness, right? Really, when
Yeah.
we can begin to notice like how things are playing out within us, we reclaim so much power instead of just functioning by default and being unconscious with it. And so I think for every person, we don't necessarily know, there's not a template for this is exactly a prescription of what it means, but really the noticing, the awareness, then the contemplation, the curiosity. Ooh, what might this mean? In the prior episode, oh, there's a lot of narcissists in my life. What might that mean? Doesn't necessarily mean I'm a narcissist, but let's open the curiosity and the exploration. Oh, okay. Look at, I'm projecting onto someone that I couldn't do something that they've done, or I wouldn't do something that they've done. What might that mean for me? Just to get curious and start to just put the question on the table, can begin to open up and unlock
Hmm.
awarenesses, and move us into a more expansive state. And like to your point, like we can be with so much more than we realize that we can.
We sure can. We sure can. It's our fear of the thing more that gets us more in the trouble, or whatever you want to call that. But yeah, I love that you wrapped it up so beautifully like that. Because yeah, like in the first call of this conversation, I think 2 calls ago, 54 maybe, we talked about the narcissist thing, like you were saying, and sometimes it can be like the typical mirror. Conversation is typically about, well, if you can see it in them, then you have it too. But it can also be, and that was the fingernails going down the blackboard for me. It's like there's more to it. And there's so much more to it than what people are putting on the table a lot of times. And so where I get to with it is, oh, maybe what it's letting me know, what it's mirroring to me and reflecting to me is, wow, look at how I'm willing to let people treat me, right? Look at how I'm willing to let people treat me. I'm willing to let people be like that with me. Doesn't mean I'm like that. I mean, we all have every tendency. We know that. But wow, I'm allowing others to treat me like that. I wonder where I treat me like that. So again, it comes back to that self-reflection. Okay, I'm letting somebody be mean to me. I wonder where I'm mean to me. People say mean things to me. I wonder where I say mean things to myself. And so that would be the reflective piece as well. And so, yeah, it's just, I love being human and the messiness of it and the awareness of it. And now it's time for us to all experience and experiment with more of the ooh la la, maybe. Okay, I've had lots of experiences of the poop show. Great, cool. I'm confident. Next. Right?
Exactly.
Because
Universe
again,
test me with all the good things.
yes. And that, right? Exactly. Let's have that experience. Because I mean, you know what? I often refer to you, Veronica, as, oh my God, you have a social life that it's like watching a movie, right? For me. And it's like, well, if you have that, then I have it too. Right. And so it
And
is
you remember
just
the days where I didn't have that, right?
I certainly do. You know what? I
Yes.
love that you said that because I remember when you didn't have that and you were like, we were working a lot in creation energy and you were like, yep, I'm working on this, this, and that. And I'm like, okay. And the
Social life was one of
dancing,
them.
right? You
Yeah.
wanted to do the dancing and the socializing and a bigger scope of friends. And I'm like, oh my God, how many people showed up at your little birthday party? And because not everyone could show up, I'm like, are you kidding me right now? But yeah, anyway. So yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Awesome.
it's easy to project onto others. Oh my God, they're so lucky. They so this, they so that. But also look at where you're so lucky and you're so this and you're so that. And really, really owning it because boy, the poop stuff has a heavier weight to it. So it gets our attention more. It doesn't mean the other stuff isn't there. It might mean that we need to notice it more and experience it more and receive it more when other people say, oh my God, you ooh la la. Can we really let that in and receive it? And if you were somebody standing on the sidelining watching you sitting there experiencing oh la la moments, would they say your field just expanded, your energy field expanded or shrank? Right? When we're experiencing those moments of yay, what if we really, really paused and soaked in those moments and really celebrated the yay,
Exactly. That's where the
right?
magic is, folks. Yep.
It
That's where it
is
is.
because boy, oh boy, it's easy to soak in that other stuff because it has so much weight to it. That light stuff, it's like that to me, that's what it means when we used to hear the phrase and still hear the phrase, take time to stop and smell the roses. Yeah, right? Take time to stop and smell the roses. That's what it means to me is that the 2x4 stops you in your tracks, right? What if we made it a mission to let the other stuff, the good stuff, even if it's somebody smiling at you, really, really looking at that as an abundance and a mirror, whatever else you want to call it, all the things, right? But really look at that as an abundance. Wow, somebody just smiled at me. Well, that's an abundance. If I want to look at it that way, right? Can I really receive it as that? Yeah, cool.
Awesome. I love it.
Me
Mirrors,
too.
projections, reflections, all the things. Thank you so much, Kim, and thank you, everyone. And we really appreciate if you like, subscribe, share, comment. If you have anyone that you think could benefit from this conversation, if you could pass us along, that'd be amazing. That helps us. That's how we grow. So thank you so much, and until next time.
Ooh la la.